Hey guys, Ryan here, and we're continuing our bag fill evolution series that we've been doing. So in the last one, we swapped out heavy sand to code 3 in the medium size game changer. It went from 9 pounds 7 ounces down to 6 pounds 3 ounces. So it now weighs less than my pint size game changer. So what I want to do now is slim this thing down. It is 6 pounds 11 ounces. I usually use it for like a rear support bag, or if there's like a small opening in a PRS obstacle, I can throw this in there and it works really well. If you're a hunter, this is a great one for size to throw in your pack, but at just shy of 7 pounds, it's too heavy. Now, I'm a big heavy sand guy. That's why switching to code 3 was pretty easy because it performs the same, if not actually a little bit better. But going to Spexlite, I'm definitely a little bit more skeptical. So what we've done is we've gone to Box to Bench Precision, and they have a blend by Ginny, who is an Olympian, and she came up with the Ginny Thrasher Olympian fill. It's got 5125, which is a really small, and 5235, which is a larger pellet Spexlite. When you get a bag from Armageddon Gear or MDT and it has Spexlite, it's mostly just a single size. It's a really small, super lightweight fill. But to me, it's almost too lightweight. So I like that this is gonna maybe make it in the 2 to 3 pound range versus probably less than a pound if I were to use the small size only. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna empty out the heavy sand. We're gonna put this in, see how big of a weight change it is. And I'm really hopeful that it performs even in the same ballpark as sand, because if it does, and we can cut it down to a much lighter weight, it'll be a huge win, and I'll end up using this a lot more. For those of you guys that are hunting or using it for other applications, this will find its way into your pack a lot more often, but I'm hoping we don't have too much of a performance suffer as a result of going to the Spexlite. So we'll see. It'll be my first real use of it, and tomorrow we have a range day. We'll be shooting out to 1,000 yards, so we can go ahead and test it there. All right, now we got an empty. The empty bag is 4 pounds 3 ounces. So now we're gonna go ahead and backfill it with the Olympian fill. All right, guys, so we got it all full, and a couple of observations. For one, I did bring out the optimized game changer I got from Armageddon Gear from the factory with Spexlite, and they are only using a really small Spexlite. This thing only weighs 1 pound 4 ounces for the OG size. Now, the pint size with the blend is 2 pounds 8 ounces. So I actually like that. I didn't want this thing to be under a pound, which is what it would be if we used just the small size. And it feels a lot more sand-like. I know you can't feel it, but it just has that smush factor, and it just feels a little bit more substantial, but it's still 2.5 pounds is super light. This feels like it's gonna blow away in the wind. We'll take both to our next range day and test it out and show you guys the results. But one question that I get asked a lot is how much fill to put in there. And I think I put a little bit more than I had in sand. And what I like to do is put it on a barricade or whatever prop you think you're gonna use it on. And if it's too little, it'll droop and it'll have like this shape. And if there's too much, it'll create like a U. So we want it so when we put it on a barricade, it's nice and flat. And that's usually when you know. No matter what, when you get these from the factory, you usually wanna take some out, which will help you with some weight savings. But I'm still skeptical. Is this gonna perform as good as sand? It might not, but even if it's like 90% as good, we cut the weight by about 70% on this thing. And so when I'm using it as a rear bag or anything like that, it's gonna be a lot more usable, especially for you guys that are packing this up and taking it to go with you. So we'll see how it does tomorrow, and we'll let you know what we find. All right, we're out at the range, and I'm testing the difference between the Spexlite that comes from Armageddon Gear with the Olympic fill. Now, this is the bag, the OG game changer as it comes from Armageddon Gear. We're on my least favorite obstacle at a match, a tank trap. We've got some 4-inch circles at 400 yards, and we've got a really heavy 12 to 13 mile an hour crosswind. So we're gonna see how well does this do before we potentially swap it out to the Olympian fill. And then, even though this is obviously not the right bag for this situation, we'll kind of torture test it just to see how the fill does, and then we'll take it over and use it as a rear bag or on some obstacles that'll make more sense. So first we'll start with the ultralight fill in the OG game changer. Okay, we're able to get an impact with that. And then next we're gonna swap out the pint size game changer with the Olympian fill. All right, we are able to get an impact with this. It is a little wobbly, I think mostly because of the size, but its ability to cushion the recoil and make the gun feel stable, I think is gonna be a lot better than the Spexlite that comes from Armageddon gear. We just need to swap this out and try it in a larger bag where it'd make more sense. All right, now we're gonna use this bag really what it's for out here at the range. For a rear bag, when I'm using something like the pint size game changer, before when it was heavy sand, it was super stable, but it was almost 7 pounds. Now that it's 2.5 pounds, it's really easy to carry along with me and the rifle. If I did need to throw it to another prop or just bring it along with me, it's not gonna be a big hassle. What I'm looking for now is how stable is it? So we're gonna shoot out to 600 and then way up the mountain at 1,000, because I also wanna test how much can I elevate or drop the rear of the rifle with this fill by squeezing or letting go of the bag. The sand was really stable, but it wouldn't move the rifle as much, so hopefully this is a little bit better for that. So we'll kind of simulate a stage. We'll shoot 2 at 600 and then 2 up the mountain at 1,000, where I'm gonna have to really drop the back end of the rifle to get the front end up to get to that 1,000-yard target. All right. All right, we got it lighting up. So I had no problem getting the rear end up for that lower 600-yard target and then letting it drop into the groove to get the front of the rifle up for that 1,000-yard target. Kept it really stable, got my hits, and nice and lightweight for the maneuverability. So I really do like the Olympic fill for this purpose, especially over the heavy sand. All right, I wanted to give this kind of an overall evaluation. I actually shot more guns that day and then have shot it more since, so I feel even a little bit more confident in my recommendation. In terms of performance, overall stability, I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5. It's not gonna be as good as a Code 3, which I think is even better than heavy sand because of how fine and how well it compacts and holds, but it's gonna be about as close as you can get. It's way better than plastic beads, and it's better than the stock fill that comes in the Armageddon gear or like the MDT peanuts. This to me is just so light that it doesn't give enough stability for what I would want to use it for. In terms of weight, this is where I actually give it a 5 out of 5 because I don't want it to be, this is 1 pound 4 ounces for a bag this big. This being a little over 2 pounds feels substantial. It doesn't feel like it's going to blow away in a heavy wind, but it's way lighter than if it was filled with sand and a little bit lighter than if it was filled with the Code 3 lightweight sand. So I do think it's honestly the perfect weight. If I could get this weight with Code 3 stability, we'd have the perfect fill. Because of that, in terms of versatility, I'd also give it a 5 out of 5. You can really use this as a rear bag. When you squeeze it, it really compacts and then it will really drop down. So you can really build and drop it several inches even in this small bag. I think if you put it in an OG game changer like this or even a Schmedium, it would do great as a front bag, and that's actually what I'm gonna do next. I tested this, I know how it feels. I'm gonna swap it out with some of the Ginny fill, and I think this will be really awesome with it and definitely usable as a front bag. It'll probably weigh about 3.25 pounds, and it'll be awesome. So would I buy it again? Absolutely. If you are gonna get it, check out Box to Bench Precision. I'm not really affiliated with them in any way, but I did buy it from them, and I said, hey, if I do a video, can I give a discount code for people that watch? And they agreed, and I thought that this would be good to put on their website as well as maybe my own channel to help you guys out. There's not a lot of content out there in terms of the different fills that actually goes in depth and gives real world experience. And these are like one of the most important props that you have. And it's one of the biggest differences you can make for the smallest amount of money. It's an expensive hobby. We've got, you know, thousands of dollars of stuff all around me and off camera that we use. But this, the difference between maybe, you know, $80 in fill could make a big difference in your performance at a match. So So it's definitely a topic worth researching and giving you guys some information. Leave any questions or comments below. I'll give any feedback and answer any questions that you guys put. Hopefully this was helpful. And until the next one, guys, continue to make progress on your precision journey.